Are you watching this? What a brilliant piece of work from Connor McDavid.
Long before Connor McDavid put on the Oiler jersey, the comparisons were there.
Connor McDavid, he's the first generational player since Sidney Crosby.
6 years later, with McDavid on the cusp of 500 points, how do those comparisons hold up? At this stage of their careers, both Connor and Sid have the Hart, the Pearson, and the Art Ross. And if McDavid finds a score sheet tomorrow night against the Jets, they will have reached the 500-point plateau in the exact same number of games. So what separates these two generational talents?
Sidney Crosby, you will be the youngest captain to hoist the Stanley Cup.
Before 500 points, Crosby had already made back-to-back Cup finals, winning Lord Stanley's mug back in 2009. McDavid, on the other hand, just one playoff round win.
The Oilers' bubble has burst, and the 12th-seeded Chicago Blackhawks have advanced.
But it's tough to compare playoff successes with such vastly different supporting casts. Crosby has had the likes of Stahl, Letang, Malkin, and Fleury. McDavid has had Draisaitl, but little else in the form of world-class talent. Which begs the question, what could Connor have done with similar support? Since his 500th point, Crosby went on to accumulate another 725 points, added another 2 cups, and elevated from generational player to one of the game's all-time greats. McDavid has been there stride for stride, not merely keeping pace, but carving his own path, with every reason to believe he too will one day lay claim to the title as one of the all-time greats, and we get to go along for the ride. All right, Craig, you described Connor McDavid as the first generational player since Sidney Crosby, well before he came into the league. Now, 499 points later, where is McDavid compared to where you thought he would be, and where do you think he goes from here?
Wow, there's no question he is absolutely a generational player and just turned 24 years of age. I don't think there can be any question about it. But when you watch Connor McDavid, whether it be in midget, whether it be with Team Canada, the U18 or the World Juniors, I mean, it was very obvious to everybody. But you look at these 500-point plateau players, you know, look at the ages of where these players start to hit it. Gretzky hit it at a young age. Lemieux hit it at a young age. Crosby hit it at a young age. Yeah, and when you're generational and you're in this category of player, you hit it at a young age like Connor McDavid. There's no question in my mind that he is going to end up being one of the great players of all time in the National Hockey League, easily top 10. And you know what type of whatever he does from here on in will determine where that placing is. But you know what he does is unprecedented with respect to the speed he plays at, the ability to execute, and yes, the points follow, but there's no question that he's a unique player.
And Craig, we know the Canadian hockey fans are absolutely having a blast watching the North Division this year, the All-Canadian Division. They might be watching the Hart Trophy race in front of their eyes as well. To me, Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews are the 1-2 punch in that race this early in the season. All due respect to Patrick Kane, south of the border, who's doing some pretty amazing things with the Chicago Blackhawks. But to look at McDavid, who to me is playing the best hockey of his career, leading the points race. Austin Matthews of 13 goals in 15 games. That's a 70-goal pace in a normal 82-game season. Also, for my money, playing the best hockey of his career at this stage looks pretty exciting as a battle between the Oilers superstar and the Leafs superstar for the Hart Trophy, and that would be delicious in terms of a narrative throughout this season.
Way to tee it up for us. McDavid had 2 assists last night.
Joined now by Ryan Rashad to talk about number 97. Ryan, you have covered Connor McDavid his entire career. Is there one of the 499 points that stands out to you?
Well, Ron, for me, it's more about the story behind it as opposed to the actual highlight itself. We go to February 2nd, 2016. McDavid in his first game back after suffering that collarbone injury in his rookie season. You know, it's the way he scored this goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Reckless abandon. He attacks the defenseman, then goes hard at the net with the great finish. You know, some wondered if that reckless abandon would be there after the way he initially got hurt. The other thing that stood out to me about this goal was his celebration. You know, it was in the old building, the crowd went nuts, but look at McDavid and the way he celebrates that goal. Like 3 months worth of pressure and stress and anxiety all came off of his chest in one moment.
And outside the highlights, there is a moment in McDavid's development that told you something about him.
Well, again, Rod, it's about the storyline that's behind it. You won't find this one in the highlights necessarily. McDavid's first NHL road trip, he had played all of 2 games, and they were practicing on an off day in Dallas. Todd McLellan ran a power play drill, and he said to the players who weren't part of the drill, if you think that the power play is going to score, go stand on the far side of the ice. If you don't think they're going to score, stand over here. Well, the percentages dramatically favor the penalty kill in a drill like that. And if you got it wrong, you had to skate. And so the entire team bet against the power play and stayed on the near side of the ice. All of them except for an 18-year-old Connor McDavid. By himself, sheepishly skated to the far side of the ice and stood there. The reason he did this is because he couldn't in good conscience send a message to the rest of the power play players, I don't think you can score.
So all you guys think the PK is winning. Even our power play thinks that.
I wished the rest of them were involved in that as well, but it's good for him to be his own guy and support his power play unit.
Now keep in mind, this was Connor McDavid still finding his way in the National Hockey League and on this team that had players like Jordan Eberle and Taylor Hall and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and other veterans. But to me, Rod, it was a signal that Connor McDavid was going to be the captain of this team, and probably sooner than some might have expected. A subtle sign of leadership from an 18-year-old.
Ryan Rishaug in Edmonton, thanks.
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously a guy that I kind of grew up watching, and he's got he's done a couple other things that I'm trying to do. So with all of his cups and all that stuff. So obviously that stuff's more important. But yeah, funny little if it happens, I guess great. If not, whatever.
Well, that's the leadership he shows. I mean, he's probably had that his whole life, and it's. He's an incredible player that, the players that play with him are always amazed at what he can do or what he does in the games. And to be that humble is, as a teammate, you respect a guy for his leadership, or respect for his ability, but ultimately you respect him as a human being because he's just a really good person. Just so happens that he's a really good hockey player to go with a really good person.
Are there still something in Sidney's games that you would emulate, that you would learn
from? Yeah, I mean, he's been so successful in this league and done everything I want to do. I mean, he's a great guy to kind of follow. I think, he's kind of done everything he set his mind to. He wanted to get better on faceoffs, and he'd done that, and he wanted to score more goals, and he did that. So, I think there's definitely lots of lessons from his game, because his game has kind of changed over the years, and he kind of does whatever he can to be successful. So and he's solid defensively, and yeah.
I noticed you almost booted him off the ice today, just managing the energy levels of a guy that seems to want to be out there a lot.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of fun being on the ice. So we're just we had a good practice today, but there's some guys that had more minutes than others, so we just wanted to make sure that we weren't overtaxing them today, and so they'll be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, we had a couple guys off the ice, and he kicked myself, Nuge, and Nursey off the ice, and just rest. I think they maybe did a little bit of a battle drill afterwards, so he just wanted to give us a little extra rest, which is always nice.